So here's one thing. There are people who thinks that when somebody is trying to teach them something, that they are being gaslighted. But here's a word for those people. What if you're not being gaslighted? What if it is all in your head? What if you are crazy? I'm tell you this. If your parents are always gaslighting you, then you're never wrong. And we have all been wrong at some point in our lives. Like, gaslighting can also come in the form of the phrase, it is not your fault. And sometimes it is. If everybody or most people are the problem, but you, then you are the problem. If everybody is toxic but you, then you are the toxic one. I'm telling you this right now, okay? A lot of these therapists, psychology, gentle parenting videos are really they're grooming you into being the most entitled snowflake in the world. And it's like they make you crazy. Christianity makes you crazy. Like Christianity, insanity, Satanist, Satan, breathe 10 times, say 10. But again, it's like not everybody is gaslighting you. Not every time somebody teaches you something, that it means that not every time somebody teaches you something does not automatically mean they gaslighting you. Sometimes they could be, sometimes they are. But you gotta understand, like, sometimes you are the crazy one. Sometimes you are the one who's wrong. Sometimes you are the problem. Sometimes it is your fault. Because if everybody's gaslighting you and manipulating you in a negative way, then you are the problem. If everything somebody says to you is gaslighting you, then you are never wrong, is what you're saying, is what you're thinking. There are therapists and psychologists that be saying it is not your fault. But they never say that sometimes it is. Okay, they always say it's never your fault, but well, they don't say it's never, but they always say it's not your fault, but they never say sometimes it is. They're like, they tell you it is not your fault to the point where you start thinking that it's never your fault, and that is when you become the narcissist that you so have a problem with. I'm telling you, these Christian therapist psychology videos, like, a lot of them are setups. Really, a lot of them are setups. Like, and then you never know the damage you've done until it's too late. Hopefully, you get out of that snowflake phase in time. Like, you be talking about like how everybody is we be talking about how everybody's toxic, but nobody ever mentions their toxic traits being used for good. And it's better to listen to these toxic traits so it can help you grow as a person. I watched a video on this girl who's mentally struggling, and she's asking for emotionally absent parents, parent advices to cheer her up. She don't want nothing kind or none of that. She just want some tough shit to cheer her up. So watching it, I was so unfazed. I felt more motivated to get my shit together than ever now that I finally took the time to listen. But before you parents be all like, "Oh, then I aspire to be that kind of parent." Here's the thing: it's okay to be 50% emotionally absent. Like, you can be a bit of both, the kind therapy mom and the emotionally absent mom. Just be like, for example, I know exactly what you're going through, but I'm telling you, whatever you depressed about, we depressed about it too. But at the same time, crying about it, just sitting down and crying about it isn't isn't gonna solve anything. Like, do something to distract yourself from depression, like clean, study, something. Every once in a while I'll cry with you, but you're gonna have to cry somewhere in private, because everybody ain't gonna just stop just because you'll be whining about whatever depressing reality that you have to face. Sometimes you gotta cry in private, but something like that. Something like that. But yeah, so back to the gaslighting. Like, here's the thing. So back to the gaslighting thing. So again, like, it's never good to be 100% emotionally absent, like be a healthy 50-50. So it's like, I know how you feel, but whining isn't gonna solve everything, and being all loud about your depression isn't gonna solve anything. But I hear you. I see you and I hear you. Something like that. But yeah. But but all I'm gonna say is, when it comes to gaslight, here's the thing about manipulation. Some manipulation is good and some manipulation is bad. Not all manipulation is bad. Okay? Some manipulation is bad, but it's like, it depends on why you're manipulating. Like, why you're manipulating, how you try to manipulate. Like, how do I say this? You can manipulate to get people to understand where you're coming from. You get what I'm saying? Like, manipulate people into doing good. That's good manipulation. If you teach people in a language that others understand, you are manipulating. Okay? And the manipulation can be good or bad depending on where the heart of it is at. So yeah, gaslighting. Sometimes people gaslight you to protect themselves. Like, everybody don't have to take everybody don't have to take accountability out loud when you confront them of something, but they could at least in private. Like, they could at least take accountability in silence. Like, the majority of people be gaslighting because they're trying to protect themselves. And let them protect themselves, as long as they're willing to change in private. And if a narcissist opens up to you and admit to what they did, don't use it against them and be like, "Yeah, you better be sorry." See, that's why nobody even apologizes. That's why nobody really apologizes. That's why nobody really takes verbal accountability, because you hold it against them and then you rub it in their face. And then you expect them to repeat what they did wrong, just to confirm to you that they know what they did. They know what they did. That's why they're denying it. But at the same time, how do I say this? Sometimes they don't know what they did and they don't think they're doing anything wrong. Sometimes they Sometimes they know what they did, but they don't think that they're doing anything wrong. But either way, one of these things, here's the thing. They don't have to repeat to you about what they did to know what they did wrong. Okay? However, they apologize is their apology. Bonus if they apologize with their actions. You can apologize with your actions in silence without apologizing verbally. But again, when they do apologize, don't rub it in their face about how wrong they are. Don't rub it in the face. Don't rub it in their face like that's right and all that shit. Or else they gonna be even more narcissistic and be like, you know what, fuck you, I'm just gonna give you a hard time and all that shit. Don't rub it in their face. Like literally telling them to repeat what they did wrong so you just so you can be sure of what just so you can be sure of what they did wrong, just so you can be sure that they know and all that shit. Like doing that shit is rubbing it in their face. Like doing that shit is rubbing in their face. The type of person I am is like when I apologize, I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry, but some people don't deserve my apology, even if I am wrong. Cause some people like to be like, you better be sorry and all that shit. Some people accuse me of more than I am actually guilty of, which is like really unnecessary. Like, so yeah. Like the moment I admit that I'm guilty of something, I'm guilty of everything else. I'm just automatically guilty of everything else, which is why I don't apologize as much. And then I just no longer take full accountability. I just don't, how do I say this? I just I just gaslight people with nonsense. I just gaslight people with nonsense when they don't want to hear whatever I got to say or when they like I don't do. Yeah, so yeah. Sometimes you got to be a little narcissistic, especially if sometimes you got to be a little narcissistic. What was I talking about? Okay. Sometimes you gotta be a little narcissistic to survive. Like, don't be too selfish. Where it's like, because when you too selfish, too narcissistic, like, like people are gonna be too narcissistic to help you and all that shit. Now that like people who are that narcissistic don't survive long in life. But I'm just gonna tell you this right now. It's like sometimes you gotta be a little narcissistic to survive. You gotta be a little narcissistic to protect yourself. But at the same time, don't be using that shit to commit crimes. Don't be using that shit to commit crimes and do illegal shit, cause problems and all that shit. Be a decent person. Be a decent person. But if you gotta protect yourself a little bit, then do it. So yeah, bye.